Good evening, everyone. Voice is audible. Should we just give
Yes,
me a
Auntie.
fabulous? So, I think yesterday's teachings were that we all matter. Each one of us has come to the world to bring something to the table. It's no coincidence that we're here. Especially, I feel in today's world during the pandemic, we all chose as souls to be born during this time. There was a reason, and we are all Guruji's light workers, so we have a big responsibility. And now, without further ado, the last sentence was, okay, dear, we'll see you in a day or two. Kaz put the phone down and said a short prayer for the boy suffering from a series of illnesses. He puts his head down and prayed, and Rudra stood by his side, fascinated, seeing Kaz from so far away send energy to the sick boy. Even while speaking on the phone, Rudra could see energy go through the instrument to the woman on the other end. And all the while, Kaz spoke to the woman. Baba stood by the side of Kaz, filling him with his energy, which was passed on to the woman and now to the child. After a while, Kaz stood up and picked his son up in his arms. Come on, worm. We need to go for a bath. Daddy, 2 minutes. Okay, love, but we have seen this particular episode at least 700 times. Jehan giggled again. I love Spider-Man, Daddy, and I love you, my curly man. The moment the cereal got over, both father and son rushed to the bathroom. Kaz had filled a few buckets with hot water. Both father and son began to brush their teeth. After that, they took a bath together. Kaz sang his prayers while Jahan played with the water. Kaz wrapped himself with a towel, wiped his son with another towel, and then picked up his boy and walked towards the bedroom. Wear your clothes, worm, and hurry up. We are bloody late today, too. Kes switched on the tape recorder, and a devotional song began to fill the room. It was their morning ritual to dress up with devotional songs and artis playing loud and clear. Kes lit the diyas and incense sticks, and then rushed to change into his clothes, jeans, and a loose shirt. You ready, boy? Yes, Daddy. Breakfast? No, Daddy. Have a banana at least. On your bike, Daddy. Darn you, boy. Yes, Daddy. Kaz looked outside. It was still pouring. Kaz switched off the tape recorder, and while Jahan tied his shoelaces, he sat with his eyes shut and prayed. Rudra was amazed that each time Kaz prayed with intensity, Baba entered and stood by him. Kaz continued to pray, and then Baba whispered something to Kaz. The man opened his eyes and looked at the clock. It was 2 minutes to 10. Jahan, get ready. In a few minutes, the rain is going to stop, but just 4 minutes. Enough time to dash through and meet that ogre of yours. Come on, boy. He picked up the schoolboy. His Havis hat and both father and son rushed down the stairs. In how many minutes the rain is going to stop, Daddy? Baba says in 3 minutes the rain is going to halt for us, and he will keep the rains off 4 minutes. Baba loves us. Oh yeah, boy, he loves us. And then to Rudra's amazement, the intensity of the rain actually started to reduce. A minute later, it had actually stopped raining. Okay, boy, let's hit the road. Kaz quickly wiped the bike dry, put his son on the front, near the petrol tank, the bags on the handle, and hit the road. There was traffic, but Kaz was good on the bike. He took by lanes to avoid the signal lights. Another 2 minutes to go, Daddy. Yeah, worm, I know. Eat your darn banana. It was a sight, father and son on the bike, zooming through the narrow lanes of Bombay. Bags in the front, a boy with curly hair eating a banana, the man behind, not shaved, curly flying in the wind, talking to his son, making the small boy giggle while chewing a mouthful of the fruit. They reached a colony, and Kaz took his bike right up to the entrance. We did it, Daddy. Baba did it. Baba did it. Both of them enter the building, and seconds later, the rain starts again. Baba can do anything now, Daddy. Yes, love, except make your tuition teacher more human, he whispered in his son's ear. Both father and son began to giggle. Kaz rang the bell. The door opened. The lady who opened it eyed both father and son sternly. Mr. Billy Moria, you had assured me you would bring your son on time. And yeah, why are you always late? Why don't you respect time? Um, Miss, I wasn't feeling well. Daddy was ready since an hour, but I wasn't feeling too well, and that is why we got late. Umriger. Miss Umriger stared at father and son. She knew the little one was lying through his teeth. Sometimes the father took the fall, and sometimes his son. And she wanted to smile, but she knew she dare not. She had to keep her image of a strict teacher. But she loved the boy, though she thought the father was too much of a hippie for the boy's good. The mother was the same one in the family. See you after half an hour. See you after an hour and a half. She shut the door, but so both father and son winked at each other and hide a smile. Kes stood outside the main entrance. It was pouring, and he waited for the rain to stop. He took out a novel from his haversack and made himself comfortable on a dry porch next to the entrance of the building and began to read. For half an hour, the rain continued, and then slowly the sun peeped out and the sky was clear. Kes got on his bike and moved towards the nearby fire temple. Rudra had met Kes often at this time of the day. Kes would drop Jahan for tuitions, and then he would meet up with Rudra at an Irani restaurant where they would smoke and have cups of tea. Rudra knew Kes for the last 10 years, and often they had spoken about spirituality. It was uncanny how often they had the same philosophies for various issues. Rudra observed Kes parking his bike. It was an old Hero Honda. It had a Harley Davidson handle. As one of the kids always sat up front on the petrol tank, and while turning, Kes felt the chopper handles of the bike didn't hurt the kid's thighs. And tonight, Jahan was going to die. A deep sadness enveloped Rudra. He wanted to embrace Kes. He wanted to prevent the tragedy that was inevitable. He wanted to cry. He was aware how ruthless fate could be and how gut-wrenching was the pain of losing a child, either through death or through divorce. For the first time, Rudra entered the fire temple. Rudra immediately remembered one of the last conversations they had in the Irani restaurant. It was about Parsis. But why can't non-Parsis enter the fire temple? He had asked, while taking a deep puff, a tactical mistake, as a smoke which should have entered the windpipe, for some God-forsaken reason, decided to explore other entry points of the anatomy. Rudra had turned a nasty shade of green, and Kes had laughed till he had finally fallen off the old, narrow wooden chair, so common in all Irani restaurants. Why can't you buggers enter our fire temples? Simple. Because now my community is besotted with fanatics. But there must be some logical reason here. Sure, you must know that my folks came from Persia. That is why you are called Parsis? Wrong, you defrosted worm. We came from a place in Persia called Pars. When the invaders were hacking my ancestors into small cubes or forcing them to convert to Islam, a particular sect decided that if we wanted to preserve the teachings of Prophet Zarathustra, they would have to go to a country that was more tolerant of other religions. Prophet Zarathustra was born 2,000 or 3,000 years before Christ. He's considered to be the first prophet. For sure, the first prophet or human being who believed that God was energy without form, who also introduced the concept of heaven and hell. He must have been married. Yes, he was married. Only then could your noble prophet have experienced heaven and hell. Very funny, Mr. Rudra. Who can't inhale a cigarette without his arse changing various colors? Oh, okay, Mr. Kes, but you still haven't answered why your crazy people don't allow us to enter your fire temple. You see, when my ancestors landed in Gujarat, those days, conversion was rampant. The king of Gujarat must have realized that this group of fair-looking animals could eventually create trouble for the local people. He wanted them to scoot. We wanted the Persians to bugger off. But how does one get the message across? Neither spoke the same language. So why didn't the king just tell his army to attack your ancestors? I wouldn't be having this crazy conversation with you then. Ha ha. Your attempts at humor are beneath comment, my dear Mr. Rudra, who should have been suffocated to death when just out of the womb by a noble, wise gynecologist. Anyway, language being a problem, the king sent out a glass filled to the brim with milk. But why? I guess if you were the head priest, you would have smacked your lips and gulped the blasted milk down, Mr. Rudra. Obviously, I love milk. But my head priest was not a sicko like you, Mr. Rudra, he thought. He contemplated, he scratched his pious, noble head and realized that the king wasn't off his rocker sending milk instead of wine to be relished. He got the message. The message the king was trying to send across was that, hey dudes, listen, get your white-skinned asses off my turf, as I'm already up to my neck taking care of my own good Jew folk who are anyway driving me up the wall. So the head priest smiled, asked his wife to get him some sugar. The wife looked at her husband and began to mutter about the absolute lack of timing. Here, their entire clan was about to be massacred by these local natives, and her husband wanted to indulge his sweet tooth. You want sugar, do you, hun? Is this why you have made into a head priest, hun? After sugar, you might ask for fish and curry too, hun. But the head priest was more of a man than you and me, Mr. Rudra. He turned to his wife and said, you woman, stop blabbering. Get me the God-forsaken sugar. Scoot now. The woman scooted and got the head priest a lump of sugar. The head priest poured the sugar into the mug, filled to the brim with milk. The king saw the head priest put a lump of sugar into the milk. He smacked his lips. He loved sweetened milk. He was about to gulp the milk down when one of the wise folk who surround kings like a vice coughed and gently explained to the king that the purpose of the sugar being put into the milk was to explain to the king that though there are no place for these white folk with funny wardrobes to live in Gujarat, they would merge with the populace just like this sugar sweetened the milk. In fact, also enriching the kingdom by their presence. The king heard the wise man out, chuckled, told one of his guards to take the wise man to the nearest gallows and relieve the man of his blasted head, smiled at the head priest, gulped the milk down, and so relished was he with the sweet milk that he said, what the bloody hell? I love sugar. The women look yummy. Let these poor sods live here. But hey, I don't want you guys to convert my people. I don't want you guys to go about marrying my women folk. I certainly don't want you guys marrying my men folk too. Ha ha. So live here, but no conversion, no religious mingling. You get my point, you funny looking man? And since then, to keep that king's words, my community have shut their doors to those that don't belong to their community. Hence, only Parsis can enter the fire temple. But in Iran, anybody can enter the fire temple. They will allow you too to enter, Mr. Rudra. That is the real reason. Of course, if you ask the priests nowadays, they will tell you some bilge about how Prophet Zarathustra didn't approve of others entering our fire temples or conversion, etc. But that's a load of crap, my dear Mr. Rudra. We are keeping our promise to a king made centuries ago by wise folk. But what is the sense? Your people are getting extinct anyway. My dewormed friend, Parsis are a community. It's not a religion. We are Zoroastrians. Parsis may become extinct, not Zoroastrians. We become a Zoroastrian, only you can't become a Parsi Zoroastrian. Did you understand what I have told you, you besotted ape? Parsis are a community. In fact, we now are a tribe. But I belong to the Zoroastrian religion. That will never go extinct. There are villages in Portugal that are filled to their dawn brim with Zoroastrians, in Germany too, for that matter. You crazy people are there too? Okay, I get the gist, you crazed man. Next moment, Rudra found himself in the fire temple. It's time for a sip. So the message here is accept with grace whatever our master has in store for us. That is faith. If we can't accept with grace what he has in store for us, no amount of spirituality is worth its salt. So acceptance again is so important, and that too with grace. See, when Guruji used to say ABC na karo, abuse, accuse, blame, criticize, and complain. See, as humans, I don't know why we do it, but we all do it, that we complain and we look at the lack. We always seem to focus on the glass half empty rather than glass half full. So we'll always say, oh, mere paas lekin ye nahi hai, wo nahi. Little do we realize how abundant we all are and how infinite our energy is. So, it's just being in that state of acceptance and grace, and just saying thank you every moment, being in a mode of gratitude. We are born the way we're born for a reason. I had my illnesses for a reason. Had I not been so sick, being on my deathbed, maybe I would not have knocked on Guruji's door, because arrogance comes in when we have it all. It's human nature again. I don't need God. I don't need a guru. And I remember vividly that when I started going to Guruji, people used to actually make a mockery out of me and say, ridicule me and say, oh, a guru is for the weak. It's not for the strong. It is not for those who are sure. But little do they know that each one of us needs a guru to make us better and to eradicate the bitter in us and to make us strong so we can overcome the wrong. So actually, it's for the wise. It's not for losers, it's for winners. I feel we're the victors. And those who haven't found a guru as yet, I hope they do, because it, by leaps and bounds, we make our growth, spiritual growth, and we really elevate on a higher path. And I feel personally that I can enjoy the material world better having the wisdom of the spiritual. And I really do literally relish every moment of my life because I have the spiritual strength in me now. And I know I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. So I see the world from a different pair of eyes. I don't see it as I'm attached to this world or I belong to this world. I'm just a visitor who's enjoying this world. So it really does shift our perspective. Moving on. Rudra stood next to Kes, who was seated on a wooden bench, eyes shut, saying his prayers. In front of Kes raged a blazing fire. It was a beautiful place, and Rudra saw a number of people praying, all facing the holy fire. Some put sandalwood on a tray, and the priest, who was tending the fire, would then offer the sandalwood into the fire. Rudra observed Kes, who was deep in prayer, emit an aura that radiated from his body. A light moved upwards through the roof into the sky. Some others who prayed had a similar kind of light moving upwards. But from many, there was no light. Some of those who prayed, their auras were filled with darkness, either darkness caused due to depression, anger, fear, hate, and so many emotions mankind is known to nurture and harbor. Their bodies emitted no light that moved upwards. Some who prayed occasionally with sincerity, their bodies emitted light, and then the light would dim, and then again move upwards. Obviously, these people were on and off in deep prayer. Rudra observed various spirit bodies healing those in prayer, especially those in deep, concentrated prayer. It was a beautiful sight. What with mortal men and women seeking refuge and offering gratitude, and the spirit world responding so beautifully. Often young and old men and women would enter their auras, brooding or angry or filled with despair. They would sit for prayers, and then Rudra would be amazed at what transpired. As each individual prayed, slowly the auras would begin to get cleansed. The darkness would slowly start to diminish. Therefore, Guruji used to say, Aya karo, hajri lagaya karo. Because aate, with consistency, commitment, dedication, our aura begins to change organically. We have to do nothing but come in his sharan. When we are in his sharan, we begin to change for the better as people. The darkness within us slowly begins to diminish. Depending upon the intensity of the prayer, their auras would get cleansed, nourished, and energized. Masters would appear and bless and heal. Guardians, guides, and guardian angels would appear and merge their auras with the one in prayer. Relatives and loved ones who had passed on would come and embrace their loved ones. Slowly, depending upon the individual's intensity and purity of prayer, the aura would begin to expand, and then the light would move upwards. Energies from the earth and the sky would enter the individual's aura, giving the individual earth or root energy, and from above, sky or crown energy. It was simply phenomenal. Now you know why I keep telling you to pray, my son, who even in the spiritual stares with his mouth wide open. Baba, Rudra bent and touched Baba's feet, though in reality, Baba's feet were no longer visible. He was a robe of golden light. It is beautiful, Baba. If only I knew how the masters in the spirit world respond to prayer, I would have spent hours praying. There is no song as beautiful as true devotion through prayer and service. Look at all these children of mine. Look at their auras. Some shine, some are dark. Some walk with death and hate and anger in them and walk out healed or at last for some time pacified. But not all who are in prayer are really praying. Look at that elderly man there. See his aura. It hasn't changed much. Why? Because he's just muttering words without heart or intent. But Baba, many times the prayers are in a language one doesn't understand. Yes, son, my child who can knock a galaxy down with his culinary skills, you are right. Most prayers are in a language normal people don't understand. But remember, God understands all languages. If you don't understand it, it makes little difference. Heaven above understands best the language of intentions and devotion. Therefore, Guruji used to say कि अपना भाव साफ रखो. मैं तुम्हारा भाव देखना, मैं तुम्हारा प्यार देखना, मैं तुम्हारा intention देखता हूँ. So it doesn't really matter, you know. And in the end, it came to teachers' simplicity. I remember a Sangat asked me once, after going to a very elaborate satsang in Delhi, she said, you know, I won't be able to do a satsang so elaborately. My pocket doesn't allow it. And the answer that Guruji made me give her was that Guruji just sees your intention, your love, your dedication and devotion. It doesn't matter about the elaborate, you know, embellishments. Guruji is not interested in embellishments. He's interested in your heart and your intent. So that's all that matters. So it's the language of intentions and devotion that God observes in us. Even if you mouth Avesta or Sanskrit or Latin, the important point is, are you praying and saying your prayers with gratitude, reverence, love, humility, and absolute surrender? Are you praying because you want to connect with God and Master? Or are you praying because of guilt or fear or tradition or for whatever reason, but that of love and gratitude? So love and gratitude are the key to taking us higher and in a constant state of being in love and gratitude. And compassion, I would like to add. If there is no intensity in prayer and no devotion in that intensity, then you're wasting your time. It's just a dikhava coming to Chote Mandir, Bada Mandir, going for a satsang. It's just we're going to go there to show off our, you know, new bags and new clothes that we're wearing. Then it's nothing more again than the external. And we are internalizing very little. So what we want is what we give. The more we give, the more we receive. So it's very important to know that the more we give of ourselves and our devotion and dedication and gratitude and compassion, the more we will receive in terms of spiritual evolution. Because then, even if you understand what you are praying, you are just mouthing words. God wants devotion and emotion and love and gratitude and intensity and surrender, not fancy mouthing of words. Nothing fancy, simplicity. Thus you see, depending upon the intention and gravity of devotion, how the aura changes, gets cleansed, harmonized, and energized. I am here because Kez is praying to me. Yes, I know he's praying the Avesta prayers, but for him, all prayers reach me. So here I am. And now that we are here, my dangerous son, I want you to be with Kez while he and his son do astral travel. It has already taken place last night. But I want you to understand how divinity works. Why are you looking like a mackerel out of water? Very funny, my Baba. First I'm dead, then a spirit. Then I'm seeing the last day of my friend who's going to lose his dearest son. And now you want me to rewind further and be part of this astral travel, which he had seen last night? I mean, I don't understand the concept of time. Time doesn't exist here, beta. What has happened is still happening in some dimension. And what has to happen has already taken place eons ago. The spirit world has no concept of time. What you are experiencing with Kez has already taken place, but is stored as energy in the cosmos. We tap into that energy circuit and relive it as the now and the moment and the reality of time and space. When a spirit goes through its life record, not only of the current lifetimes, but all lifetimes, the spirit goes through every moment of each lifetime. This process in earth, time, terms should take centuries, but in the spirit world, takes place in less than a few moments. You're here now. Your body's lying horizontal on the bed. Ha ha, that was a good one, horizontal. Anyway, do you think you have died days ago? No. You think you've died moments have passed, but for you, you are experiencing it as though hours and hours have elapsed. We can expand time and contract it. When a spirit is in what you call hell, it may feel it has been in the womb of hell for lifetimes, when in reality, it could have been there for simply a few moments on earth. Let me reassure you, I am very confused and would like to have a smoke. Would you like to have a smoke outside, be inside, as well as experience Kaz's astral travel? Even that is possible. Look, Baba, do me a favor. Make it simple for me. My head is spinning. Your vibrations, my dear, are spinning. You will be happy to note that your fat head doesn't exist in the spirit world, beta. Okay, so my son, sit with your friend, but go and experience with him the astral travel he experienced last night. It is important that that travel warned him of his son's demise. And in an instant, Rudra experienced multi-dimensional existence. He was back in the cabin, smoking a chillum with Baba. He was in the fire temple with Kaz during the last moments of Jahan's life. He was now with Kaz and Jahan, reliving what had already transpired a few hours before the previous night. He was everywhere, and yet he was within himself. So the message here that there is no song as beautiful as true devotion through prayer and service and selfless love. Just see how Guruji has actually taught us that, paat karo, seva karo, simran karo, and satsang karo. So Guruji has actually taught us this, and it's become a way of life today with his grace. So Rudra went back another day in time, but it all seemed to be happening in the moment. The very concept of time was timeless. Kaz and Jahan were sleeping. There was a flame burning at the altar. Prarashi and her mother were sleeping in a mattress on the floor under the fan. Though Mumbai was in the grip of the monsoons, it was still a hot night. Rudra stood by the bed wondering what was to take place. Suddenly he saw the spirit bodies of both Kaz and Jahan rise. It was a beautiful sight, though not for the faint-hearted. One moment they were asleep, and the next moment both their spirit bodies got out of bed. The next moment Rudra, along with Kaz and Jahan, were within Muktum Shah's Dargah. Muktum Shah's Dargah. Rudra had often visited the holy shrine of Muktum Shah, a master who had lived centuries ago in the flesh in the city of Mumbai. They were all in front of the holy tomb. Those in charge of the tomb immediately ushered everybody else out. Rudra realized that all this was happening in the spirit world, in another dimension of time. Those who took care of the holy tomb, after ushering everybody but Kaz and Jahan, and now Rudra from the room shut the doors. They began to clean the floor with rose water. After the floor was cleaned, they removed the flowers from the crypt and then removed the various chadars offered by devotees to the master. After the chadars were removed, the men removed the wooden casing of the tomb. They placed the wooden casing down on the floor. For the first time, Rudra realized that the holy body of the saint was in another tomb, within the original casing deep in the ground. They removed the inner casing too. They then asked Kaz and Jahan to enter the tomb and lie down. Both father and son did as they were told. Then the men shut the inner casing, and then they shut the outer casing of the tomb as well, and replaced the chadars and the flowers as they were. Then a short prayer was performed. Then once again, the procedure was repeated, but this time Kaz and Jahan were brought out of the holy tomb. They were made to stand next to the holy tomb, while once again the workers closed the crypt. The next moment, Rudra himself, back in the bedroom, observed father and son re-enter their bodies. And in a second, Rudra was back next to Kez in the fire temple along with Baba. So father and son were placed in Sarkar Makdum Shah's holy tomb, our way of telling the father that don't worry, his son, even when he passes over, is in the safekeeping of his masters. If you all can do all this, why can't you all take care of the little one? We know what is best for both, the father and son, beta. Destiny can be changed, but often it is best to go through it. Only when the master feels it is best to manipulate energy and it is for the overall good of the individual and the well-being of each and every living organism, then destinies are altered. Go on and be with your friend and child. These are the last few hours of the little one's life. Rudra nodded, or thought he nodded. He realized that he didn't have his fat head adorning his spirit body. The message here is, only when the master feels it is best to manipulate energy and it is for the overall good of the individual and the well-being of each and every living organism, then destinies are altered. So even Guruji never used to intervene or interject unless he felt it was, in the larger scheme of things, it was beneficial to the devotee and the people around him. So let's all have a sip of our tea. Kind of a mini break, and I hope you're all enjoying the reading. Today is a little on the heavy side, but it's interesting, it's gripping. We're learning so much about surrender to the divine. So Rudra spent the day with Kez and Jahan. The father picked up his son from tuitions, then drove to his in-laws' place, fed his son, dropped him to school, went for a few interviews, and was back to collect his son from school. The father, son, and daughter went to the sea face and spent some time playing in the sand. They reached home late that night, and fortunately the rains didn't hinder their enjoyment. At night after dinner, Jahan slept near his father. They spoke while lying down. Daddy, there is a small boy in our school. When he talks now, he spits. All the other children make fun of him. But I don't make fun of him. It is not his fault, Papa, but Daddy. He has some problem. Today, 2 girls were hitting him and I stopped them. Very good, Peter. What did the girls do then? Then beaten me up too. These girls nowadays, violent demons. I guess both father and son began to giggle. I didn't hit them. Good son. One should never hit girls. But Ruxana hits very badly. She punched me in the stomach. I felt I was going to die. You're never going to die, my son. May Baba take my life, but not yours. No, Daddy. If you are not with me, what will I do living? If Rudra could cry, he would have for sure. His aura was already heavy, and now became only further dense. Oh, Kez, forgive me, brother. I'm helpless. I can't do anything to help, he thought. Beta, remember this always. Whether I am there with you or not, Baba is always with you. Always, here and now. He is the one who is always with you. Always. I know, Daddy, but you are my Baba too. I'm a messed up human being, Jahan. I'm filled with weakness, but always know that your father loves you always, wherever you are and wherever I may be. Never forget this. You are my soul and my Jan, and your defrosted worm. Yeah, you are my sweetest defrosted worm. Now sleep, for tomorrow the ogre will have me as a post-breakfast snack. Both father and son again chuckled, and then after a while the boy slept, all the while his father patting his curly hair and stroking his sweet head, which lay upon his father's chest. After a few minutes, Kez got up. He picked up a velvet pouch which contained prayer beads, a blessed line, and pendants of Sai Baba Shirdi. Ma Mukambika Devi Zarastra. He kissed his son on his forehead and began to move with the pouch towards the door. Baba entered. He whispered something to Kez. Kez returned to the bed, put the pouch next to his son's head, kissed the boy once again, and then left the room. For a while, Kez sat in the drawing room, while his father and the maid sat and saw some serial on television. For a minute, Kez watched too, and came to the profound conclusion that the producers, director, artist, production department, and most important of all, the scriptwriter could be immediately, without a moment's delay, be dipped in boiling water before they are skinned alive, but only after the noble process of castration. Rudra sat by Kez's sofa and fought with all his might the onslaught of dense darkness that had begun to engulf him. Gone was the sharpness in color. An eerie silence had replaced the soothing music that Rudra had become accustomed to. Fear, depression, anger, anxiety, 100-fold more than what he had ever experienced entrenched Rudra. He understood what Baba had meant when he had said that only the physical baggage is dropped. One carries the emotional and mental baggage into the spirit world, where their power to destroy one's peace of mind is 100-fold more. Around midnight, Kez found himself all alone. One is never really alone. He began his prayers, and once again Rudra was amazed to see his friend's aura change. Masters walk in to bless, guides and guardian angels, and relatives in the spirit world all enter to guide or bless or heal when one prays with intensity and love. It is amazing. It is humbling. Existence is a tapestry of delicate relationships, an interwoven union of one and all. We are all one. We all work for the welfare of all. One is all are one. You can only realize this by experiencing it. It is so true that even Guruji, as our Guru family, he's made us realize that we're all one, that we are not separate from each other. Therefore, one should never feel isolated or alone or lonely, because we are there for each other, woven into the one life. You can understand it by thought and perception, but to feel this magic of oneness, you have to either be truly wise or selfless or a yogi and master. Or dead, I guess, Rudra mused. This feeling of oneness is the be-all and end-all of all that is noble and peaceful. It is when we begin to really see the master or God in everything and every being. This is a moment when the real meaningful steps towards self-realization and spirituality take place, when we are all one and we feel it. Till then, we are blissfully shadow boxing. Kaz continued praying, and once again Baba entered. Rudra felt enveloped in love and bliss once again. The reason was obvious. Baba's aura had enveloped Rudra. The time has come, my child. Oh, Baba, do something. You are the King of Kings and the most merciful one. Do something for Kaz. He has always been a good man, Baba. Yes, he has his issues and weaknesses, but then who doesn't? Don't take Jahan away, Baba. He will destroy him. He will go away from the path. Tell me, through the day, what has your friend and my child's mantra been? When he talks and counsels, what does he say? Do your best and leave the rest to your master, and accept whatever your master has in store for you with grace and positive surrender. Let us see now how much grace and positive surrender Kaz really has when his son dies in his arms. Remember, when you counsel, nature smacks her lips, for she has another soul to test and put into the fire experience. Never put a claim to anything you aren't really sure of. Nature will test you to make herself certain about the validity of that claim. Have you realized that the moment you lay a claim to something, you are tested? I can stay without food for a long period, and days later you are being forced to validate this very claim of being impervious to hunger. I can travel without the air conditioner, and weeks later you are being forced to travel by public transport on the hottest afternoon of the ongoing summer. So don't challenge nature ever. That's a big learning. Never challenge nature. Never challenge Guruji. Don't force her to test your worth. But of course, Kaz isn't bragging. He has been tested, and he hasn't been found lacking. But those were puddles, and now comes the ocean. Rudra bowed. It came naturally. He saw Baba move towards Kez. For a long time, Baba merged his aura with Kez. After a while, the spirits began to file in. It was as though tonight was a very important night for Kez. It was an important test. Would he be found wanting in faith and acceptance? But for Rudra, it was a no-win situation. Whichever way the dice fell and turned, Kez would lose. The worst would be to lose his son, faith, and his power of acceptance. The best would be to succeed spiritually, but still lose his son. That was a hollow wind for sure. Attila the Hun was more generous with the spoils of war. Suddenly, Rudra realized that each and every member of the spirit world was looking at him, as though his thoughts had been broadcasted. You don't want to know where Attila is at the moment, Beta. Sorry, Baba. But Baba was already moving towards Kaz and Rudra. Could feel his sense of depression engulf him again. Sorry, brother Kaz, I'm helpless. Baba spoke something to Kaz. Seconds later, Kaz halted his prayer, shut his eyes. Baba whispered again. Rudra realized that as Kaz was immersed in prayer, he was in the moment. And being in the moment made it easy for Baba and the guides and angels to pass the communication to Kaz or to those in the physical world. Rudra realized the power of being in the moment. The spirit world could communicate easily with those who were in the moment and whose aura and mind weren't cluttered with various different thoughts and emotions. So again, when we say new age, terms are mindfulness, stay in the moment, it means literally letting go of the past and the future and really being in a calm state when we are in the moment. Because when we are in the moment, we hear the voices of the astral beings and Guruji and, our master, our God. So, and we get those insights. So it is very important to really practice being in the moment. And this is being in the moment. If you are truly listening to every word and imbibing it and assimilating it and internalizing it, this is being in the moment. And there are so many pearls of wisdom that we are drawing from this. So the spirit world can easily communicate with those who are in the moment and whose aura and mind aren't cluttered with various different thoughts and emotions. Kesh shut his eyes. Baba, you sure you want me to shut the vesta and stop praying? Rudra could hear Kez's thoughts. Yes, beta, whispered Baba. You know I can continue praying. I'm not sleepy. No, beta, stop your prayers. I'm going to the bedroom. Kez began to gather the books. Rudra realized that this voice came to the most as intuition or as a gut feeling. It came to anybody who was in the moment with whatever the person was indulging in, where the mind was focused or blank and calm. Kez walked towards the bedroom. The members of the spirit world were already waiting in the bedroom. Rudra followed Kez. Kez moved into the bedroom and stood still. He wasn't sure what he was supposed to do. He wasn't sleepy. He was guided to put his prayer book away and enter the bedroom. But after that, then what? And then Jahan sneezed. Rudra sighed. It had begun. Kez approached Jahan to check whether his son was well. Did the little one have a runny nose? Did Kez need to wipe away the snot? Kez touched Jahan, and Rudra heard his friend's audible gasp. Obviously, the boy's body was on fire. Kez went to the switchboard and switched on the light. And even before the light came on, Kez was rushing towards his son, as his boy was in the midst of a raging convulsion. Jahan's body was rigid and still shaking. The boy was in the midst of an epileptic fit, and within seconds, all in the room were awake. Kez picked up his son and rushed to the bathroom. The only respite both his kids got from convulsions was when their head was soaked into cold water. Kez sat under the tap, holding his son close to him. Both father and son were drenched. It was a sight, seeing both father and son sitting in the middle of the night under a tap of running cold water. The small boy, rigid, under the clutches of the convulsion, his father, outwardly and inwardly calm, but praying that the convulsion come under control. Prashi had run into the kitchen and had returned with a spoon, which Kaz gratefully put into his son's mouth in place of his own forefinger. The father's finger was red and spots of blood were visible. By now the whole family was awake. The convulsion had fortunately subsided, and Rudra breathed a sigh of relief. Maybe Jahan was not going to pass over. Just maybe. A minute later, while his mother was undressing Jahan, his second convulsion began. It was back into the bathroom. Kez was shivering, but Rudra realized that it wasn't because it was cold. Kez knew what was approaching. His face was gaunt. His eyes already sunk in deep. The grandparents stood, scared, not knowing what to do. A medicine in the form of spirit to calm the nerves was given to Jahan, who was semi-conscious now. They changed his clothes, and then the third convulsion hit the boy. Even before they could rush him into the bathroom, the convulsions subsided. Jahan looked pale and white. Get ready, we are going to the hospital. Kez spoke calmly, but nobody could recognize his voice. His wife got dressed, and Kez picked up Jahan. He kissed Farashi on her forehead. You are my brave girl. Stay with Granny and Grandpa, okay, love? He will get well now, Daddy. Let's leave it to Baba, love. Whatever he wants, so be it, okay, Jahan? I don't ever talk to Baba if anything happens to Jahan. Kez's eyes welled up. He knew this would be, in all probability, be the last time his daughter would be looking at her brother alive. You pray to Baba. He listens to children, for he loves them the most. Okay, my love? Okay, Daddy, I love you. I love you, Jahan. We love you too, my love. Kez then walked down the 2 flights of stairs, carrying his bundle of love. He started the bike. Jahan was placed in between him and his wife. Baba, a request. Don't let your son get a convulsion on the bike, please. Let us reach the hospital, and may your will be done. Kez said this much and started the bike. It didn't rain. The boy didn't get a convulsion. Though in all probability it would have not only rained, but a major convulsion was en route. But Rudra saw Baba first wave a hand to the sky, and then around the little boy's curly hair. They reached the hospital, and Rudra realized that the spiritual bodies were already present along with Baba in the emergency ward. Some were there praying. Some of them were passing on healing. Some stood emitting different energies through their vibrations. Baba looked at Rudra. Our child is doing very well. Just 10 more minutes to end his ordeal and the pain of this little child. For the first time, Rudra did not answer Baba. He looked down. You are angry at me, child. I know, but don't be. I know what I'm doing, and it's for the best. For both these children of mine. Trust your Baba. Your Baba knows best. As we know, Guruji knows best. And sometimes we always think that we know best and let him do the rest. But he actually, once we surrender, that, he knows what is good for each one of us. So Rudra nodded. The moment Kez put Jahan on the bed of the emergency ward, 4 young doctors moved towards the little boy, who looked pale and near death. One of the doctors checked the boy and looked at Kez. His body's burning. He has a fever of 103 degrees. I suspect it's viral, as we have been getting many cases of viral fever at the moment. He has already gone through 3 convulsions. The doctors looked at each other. Rudra could see the resignation in their eyes. He could hear each one's thoughts. Viral fever and convulsions. No way this kid is surviving, thought the senior doctor. Oh God, he's too small to die, thought the youngest of the lot. A small, frail-looking girl in a white coat that was 2 sizes too big. Forget the sun. The mother looks as though she will pass out. Damn it. I wish I had taken a day off today. Another girl who's refused to look at either the boy or the mother. The doctors had begun their work. The youngest and the smallest of them had begun to give Jahan an intravenous injection in his right wrist. The senior doctor gave the boy an injection in the thigh. And then the little boy got his 4th convulsion. His body stretched out. He gave a moan. A roll of cloth was put into his mouth. Jahan was still holding into Kez. There was a rush amongst the doctors, but it was a formality, with each doctor knowing and waiting for the end to come, and each one dreading it. Kez held on to his son. He saw his son's body fight the convulsion. His son held on to him tight and hard, as though pleading for his father to help. Rudra wanted to cry. Rudra looked around and saw Baba and the spirits all sending light. He looked at Kez. His aura was strangely calm. Then he heard Kez say a prayer. Baba, Jahan is your son. He is your child. If you want him to be with you, take him, Baba, but please don't let my boy suffer. Let him come peacefully to you, Baba. Take him with grace, please, Baba. Seconds later, Jahan rolled his eyes. His eyes rolled upwards till only the whites were visible, and he exhaled a sigh of release. The sigh of death, the loudest sound of it all. The small boy with the curly hair and dimpled cheeks died holding his father's hands. Those very hands that held him in with laughter and joy all of his 7 precious years. Kez held his son. He looked at his young prince, now peaceful and without pain. And then Rudra sighed too. Kez was thanking Baba for releasing his son from the pain. He looked around and saw two doctors treating his wife who had fainted. He looked at his son, now forever with Baba, sleeping peacefully. He's with you, Baba. Take care of my son, Baba. Take care of my precious boy. Thank you for ending his misery. He's yours and he's returned to you. My love, Jahan, know that your dad loves you forever and ever. For a while, nobody moved, no thoughts, nothing. And then just like a swimmer who had been underwater for too long comes out and gasps for breath, Jahan jerked his body and gasped for breath. It happened so quickly that Rudra for a while did not understand what had taken place. He looked at Baba and saw Baba smile. He looked around and saw a collective rejoicing amongst the spirit folk. He looked at Jahan and the boy was breathing and looking at his father. The doctors were nonplussed. For a few seconds, they stood dumbfounded and stared at the father and son, and then realizing that something extraordinary had just taken place, rushed to Jahan and began administering injections and checking his pulse. Rudra looked at Kez and realized that the man was still in the same place of calmness. Neither death or rebirth had really ruffled his vibrations. He just saw him shut his eyes and thank Baba. That is all his friend did. Rudra wanted to hug Baba and then hug his friend. He was so proud of him that he wanted to rejoice. And now he realized why all those present from the spirit world were rejoicing. They were filled with happiness over Kez's success. It was their success. Baba was smiling. It was the sweetest smile in creation. Rudra saw the doctors approach Kez. He's sleeping now. He's well. We will have to watch his progress, but the worst is over. Your wife is also better, but let her rest for a while. Kez nodded and thanked the doctors. We have done nothing. Convulsions and fire fever are a fatal cocktail. I haven't seen anybody, not even adults, survive. And that too after 4 convulsions is unheard of. Obviously, your son has somebody very powerful watching over him. He has somebody very arrived whose hand is on his head. Kez nodded. He silently thanked his master and sent a prayer to all the perfect masters. Jai Baba, he whispered. Now the message. This was his surrender. That was Kez's absolute surrender. He knew his son is going to go, but because he had surrendered, he won the test. And then his son was rescued. Even after losing his life, he was again revived and rescued. Remember, when you counsel, nature smacks her lips, for she has another soul to test and put into the fire of experience. Never put a claim to anything you aren't really sure of. Nature will test you to make herself certain about the validity of that claim. I can just read another few pages. We still have 5-7 minutes. Is that okay, everyone? Or that was quite profound and quite heavy. So give me the heads up.
Yes, Auntie, that's fine.
Wow, that's a wonderful conclusion.
Really enjoying.
Yeah. Wow, Jai Guruji, thank you. Rudra once again found himself back at the cottage. Baba was with him, as though waiting for him to return. He could hear the waves so clearly that the moonlight shone on the water, sending out rays of color. Something so beautiful, the likes of which he had never witnessed before. Certainly never when he occupied his physical body. The fragrance of the sea enveloped Rudra, and the young man sighed. From habit, he wanted to make Rudra a smack and a cup of tea. I will endure your torture, my child. Come, let us eat. And once again, like magic, Rudra prepared a sandwich and tea. It was as though he was in his physical body. He was aware that all that he did in the kitchen was a play of the mind and heart. But it seemed so real that often Rudra forgot that he was in the spirit plane, and all that transpired was not real. Baba and he sat on the veranda, and like old times, they shared their meal, and eventually had their cup of steaming hot tea. But the taste was magical, simply divine, and yet a mirage. After smoking the chillum, Baba looked at Rudra with a gleam in his eyes. Ask. I know you have forced yourself to focus on the moment and have kept the questions at bay. Go on, now you may ask. What happened back there with cousin Jahan? You told me that Jahan had to die, but he's still alive. Yes, my luminous child, who can still cause a master indigestion with even astral food and tea. Jahan had to die. And he did die, my son. But no, he didn't. He's alive. Let me explain to you how things in the spirit plane work, or better still, the demands of karma. Very often, karma has to be experienced. This is the law of nature and providence. What one has sown, one has to reap, be it in the present lifetime or the next or after 100 lifetimes. The soul is the bookkeeper of each person's thoughts, words, actions, intentions, manipulations, sacrifices, gratitude, selfless love, lust, wrath, sloth, charity, selfishness, the state of purity or impurity. Everything without exception. Each soul is a perfect bookkeeper. It keeps a karmic account. And after the individual drops his or her physical body, the individual is made up of individual consciousness, which in turn is made up of thought and emotion, karmic baggage, which is a sum accumulation of all karmic gain and debt at the higher consciousness, which is called the soul, along with the guides, review the previous lifetime, and then set new goals and make a completely new blueprint for the next lifetime. The higher self or the soul in its pristine form only wants to love and serve and merge with the greater. And the soul usually wants to wash off its karma at the earliest. And thus, often the higher self of each individual, along with the guide, actually tries to pack into one lifetime as much cleansing as it can endure, so that the balance sheet is squared off to the maximum limit and the soul can move closer to its master and creator. I think all of us can relate to this, that when we go through hardship in life and it's really becomes tough, one illness after another, or one relationship breakdown after another, it's actually the soul that has asked its master to cleanse us as quickly as possible, all our karmic accounts, so that we can move towards the light. We don't know it, our mind, body doesn't know it, but our consciousness, our higher consciousness is aware of the deal that we have made with our master before we are born. Hence, often when things are going rough and there is a calamity, or one feels one is being trounced by destiny and God, in reality, you're going through what you had agreed to go through, and very often insisted on going through for your own growth and karmic cleansing. So that is the validation of what I just said. It's actually literally what we have asked for, a difficult life, or a life where we can cleanse our karma as quickly as possible. It's really childish to ask for a particular series of experiences and then curse heaven and God and destiny and become negative and bitter and beat the very purpose of going through that difficult experience. Negativity and anger negate that experience. And you can be rest assured that you will go through it again and again if you become bitter and angry, as that is what your higher self or the soul wants. And remember, you in the higher form are the soul. And thus, that is what you actually wanted when you were in the spirit form in front of the counselor, guides, and masters. So imagine, you have asked to go through the experience of failure, and you want to experience failure with grace, after giving your best effort and never stopping from continuing to give your best effort with a smile. This is what you have wanted to learn when on earth, as you feel this is one of the areas you have to succeed for your soul to move closer to the greater. So when in the spirit plane, you are planning what you have to go through, failure while on earth in this particular incarnation was something you insisted and agreed upon. Now on earth, you have forgotten, but not your higher self. Your soul never forgets. And then you begin to experience failure. And slowly you become bitter, angry, negative, and you stop trying hard. And you keep blaming your destiny or the stars or the God or your loved ones. Tell me, son, where does God really figure into all this? The Creator has given you free will, remember? And you in the higher dimension chose this experience for your own soul's progress. Now to complain or moan or groan or abuse destiny, oh God, is so foolish. It's childish, actually, especially when your motive to come down was to experience failure with a smile with gratitude, and to never ever stop trying. So what happens? You become bitter and negative, a groaner, a moaner. The soul doesn't want you to lose its lifetime too. So till you don't learn how to handle failure with class and grace while giving your 100%, experiences of failure will be repeated. So remember, the karmic pattern will never break until we shift our energies, until we shift our negative energy into positive energy, until we truly become optimistic and positive and filled with gratitude. Sometimes one entire lifetime is devoted to an experience and overcoming a particular state of existence. Thus, you may keep failing so that never in another lifetime will failure be a hindrance for the soul's progress. Though in another lifetime, overcoming anger or lust or sloth may be the main agenda. Some choose various experiences so that their growth is enhanced. Some may choose to overcome failure and wrath in one lifetime. It's a tough call, but it's made by you and your higher self alone. If you don't overcome what you have come down for, it's a waste of your time. And trust me, when you return, you will come down once again to reappear for all the same paper, but the questions will become slightly more difficult. Again, if you don't succeed in your main agenda, back you come again till you can face failure or anger or lust, etc., with a smile and grace. So we come to Kez and Jahan. The little boy had to die. It was destined. The father had to go through a tough examination, as it was time for him to move up the spiritual ladder. It was a test for Kez to go through the experience of his son's death with grace, and for the son to experience death. The son and the father did experience death, my child. If you remember, they were taken in the spirit body to Sarkar Makdum Shah's Dargah. They were both put into the holy tomb. The tomb was covered. You are put into the tomb or a coffin only when you leave your physical body, my son. The father experienced the son's passing over, and so did the son experience his own passing over. Or, as you on earth say, experienced his own death, but of course, being so young, he didn't remember the dream. But the father never forgot. They both experienced passing over, so the law of karma was respected. The law of karma basically wants each one to go through the experience. Whether it is in the physical plane or the dream state doesn't really matter, as both these states are different forms of realities or illusions. The law of karma only wants the individual to go through the experience. So if you have to go through the experience of an accident, but your master thinks you no longer need to go through the experience in the physical state, then your master makes you go through. This is amazing, because then your master makes you go through the experience in the dream state. There's so many times people will dream of them dying, right? I mean, they always say, Guruji se abhi connect hoye hain, we're going through such bad dreams. Guruji cleanses your karmas in the dream. God does that. Your master does that. So that's so beautiful. We don't have to go through certain experiences in the physical, but we go through it in our dream. So master thinks you no longer need to go through the experience in the physical state. Then the master makes you go through the experience in the dream state. The dream is as real as being in the physical plane. You go through the same experience, but with the master's grace. He has saved you from going through the experiences in the physical world. That is the master's grace. What you saw for Jahan and Kez was the master's grace again. Jahan did leave his physical body. Kez did go through his son's demise. But all this was in the astral world. Now we come to what Kez's test was. Simple. Now, you want to go through this or you want me to continue tomorrow? I want to respect people's time. But I also have, I can go through another page because this is where Kez's test is. So would you like to hear the concluding part? Everyone?
Yes.
Now we come to what Kez's test was. It's simple. We wanted to see how detached he had really become. Was he really detached, or did he think he was detached? And to test each child, one needs to put him or her in front of his or her greatest weakness. If a person's weakness is money, why would he or she be tested with sex or food? The person will be tested according to his or her weakness and not according to his or her strengths or indifferences. A person who has a weakness for sex will be tested in that department. The same person might be completely over the greed for money in some previous lifetime, but may have come down to work for his weakness for sex or physical intimacy. So this child will be tested in this aspect. Jahan was his father's weakness. Kez cares nothing for money or power or fame or anything else. His children are his weakness. We tested him in this area of weakness, his love for his children, and we made him realize his son was to leave his physical body. We wanted to see how he would react and behave and conduct himself, knowing that his son was going to leave his body. Would he break down? Would he plead for his son's life? Would he pray that his son lives? Would he curse God and master? Would he abuse the doctors? Would he shout and scream in frustration and disbelief? Or would he silently leave all to his master and pray that his master's will be done? Would he make us proud? Would he make us sigh? This was an important test. It was vital. We put each individual through such tests. Why? Because this is what the individual has desired while in the spirit plane, to be put through various experiences and tests, thus to progress faster, thus making a particular lifetime a success. Spiritually, rest assured, higher one's spirituality, tougher the tests. Do you really think this is the last test your friend and my child Kez has been put through? Oh no, 3 years from now, his greatest test is awaiting him. The test of being separated from his children and not being able to see them, communicate with them, hold them, even talk to them for 10 years, and to give them up with grace and absolutely no anger or bitterness towards his spouse or those who manipulated the situation. And I will be asking him not to fight for his children, as that will emotionally and psychologically harm them for life. Will Kez listen? Then will he give them up with grace and positive surrender? And then will he remain free of hate and anger for 10 years? Will he still love his children, knowing that his daughter has been brainwashed to hate him? Will he be able to start afresh? Will he be able to love another child the way he loves Jahan and Fravashi? Will he? That is up to Kez. That is up to each individual. Each individual is tested according to their karmic blueprint. Sometimes a soul is made to go through trying times to become an inspiration to others, to show others what real love for God and Master is. Life is a series of experiences and tests and rewards, all sewn together to be made into a garland for the Lord. Wow, how beautiful. Now it's up to each individual to either make a garland of beautiful flowers or thorns. Very often, the greatest test is to be in a state of acceptance. Kez accepted my will. But often my children don't accept my will. They will try everything to prevent the inevitable. The Master is the most tender of all mothers. Often this tenderness is called upon, and sometimes what transpires is not good in the larger scheme of things. Come, I will show you a family where each one is going through various issues, all because they didn't want to let go. Come on, shut your astral mouth, which has been ajar for too long, and let's move on. Rudra smiled, but with apprehension. He didn't want to go through another harrowing experience with somebody else he loved. Of course you know this family. Rest assured, I will only take you to those whom you love and who loved you. Thanks, Baba. You're a big help in these matters. I am here to please you, my son. I'm here to please. Yeah, sure, very funny, old man. Stop chuckling. In the astral world, it sounds eerie. The last but not the least message. The higher self or the soul in its pristine form only wants to love and serve and merge with the Creator. And the soul usually wants to wash off its karma. And the earliest, and thus often the higher self of each individual, along with the guide, actually tries to pack into one lifetime as much cleansing as it can endure, so that the balance sheet is squared off to the maximum limit, and the soul can move closer to its Master and Creator. I am sure a lot of you can relate to this. I can relate to this. And when I had cancer, one after another, and then the autoimmune disease came, and then so many issues came, and then I had COVID, blah, 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 blah. I realized that I had asked for this. So I better go through it with positive surrender. I better be smart, as I better be strong, and I better be wise. And I needed Guruji's complete support. And for that, I needed to surrender. So the more we want to get closer to God, the more sometimes the tests will come through. But Guruji, like you said, 90% mein apne pe le leta, 10% like a prick of a needle. You have to go through your karmas. And sometimes we physically go through them, and sometimes in our dream. But either way, he is with us. And that is the most important lesson of all, that we are so blessed that we have him, his hand in sort of, kind of enclenched in our hand, and he's walking beside us, before us, behind us, above us. He's around us. He encompasses us with his love. Thank you so much. Good evening. I hope you enjoyed your tea, and I hope you enjoyed, mine is cold. But anyway, it was a very warm reading, very hard-hitting realities of our lives, but so insightful and so wise that we must all try and reflect on what we heard today. Thank you so much for joining. Any last question or two, just please shoot.
Auntie, it was beautiful. I just wanted to say that, today the last part of it, because as many hearing, they must be also having this question, but mine was definitely there has been that why so many tests each time? So, while you were reading, the answers were there. So thank you so much. It's a beautiful journey of you reading this. We are truly blessed to have you. And anybody else, please.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Anita Aunty so much. Could relate to every word of this, and I like to share that 2 books which have been unread in my library were Fakir and Autobiography of Yogi. And this is what a guru does to us.
Wow.
I mean, yes, and Guruji's brought me to these books now. I mean, despite these being on my reading list since last 20 years. And yes, I had a very bad dream a week, 15 days back. I mean, as bad as any mother can see that. And I talked to Guruji and I said, Guruji, is it कि आपने कोई कर्म कटवा दिया इस dream में? Did you did I had to go through this pain and you took it away in my dream? Is it, Guruji? And then I talked to him, but a heavy heart since these last 15 days. And today in the evening, I was again disturbed and I said, Guruji, I'm missing you so much. A video of Guruji's lifetime was playing on Insta and said, Guruji, I'm missing you so much. How much I want to be with you. I know you are there, but how much I want to be with you. And there comes a message where it shows that you are sharing. And I thought, Anita Auntie's, I've seen her talking to Guruji in videos. So this is so good a way to reach to Guruji, listening to her. And little did I know that what Guruji is bringing me to and giving me so many answers. Biggest is the dream. And yes, last week I was sharing satsang, and I don't know what made me say that I'm going through a lot of issues, physical and emotionally. And every time I encounter an issue, I feel there's a drop down list of karmas, and one karma Guruji's ticked off my list. So that's again been reformed through this reading, Auntie, and your explanation. So I just cannot thank you enough, and the people who are hosting this. Thank you very much. Shall look forward to listen to you tomorrow. Thank you. I cannot fold hands since I'm holding phone with one hand. Please accept my bowed head. Thank you so much. Thank you. Jai Guruji.
If I may say, today's reading is literally, I feel, answered your question that, you went through the karma in your dream. And he says the master makes Because see, Guruji loves us, our master loves us, and he has like infinite compassion for us, for all the wrong that we've done also. And then he helps us to go through our karmas. So he's so gracious that we don't have to go through certain karmas physically. He just makes us go through it in our dreams. So how beautiful is that? I think for me, that is a big one, because we have to go through our tests. Should be like you said, why so many tests? Because darling, it's like because our soul has chosen to move towards the light. And of course, we have a lot of karmic baggage from many incarnations, right? So it's so important to understand this. But in this incarnation, we want to, all of us as Sangat, I think we're not really deeply entrenched in the material desires. I think most of us want the spiritual growth. We want the spiritual evolution. And when we've asked for that, then we have to work side by side with our karmic baggage. We have to let go of a lot of things. So yeah, and then it's a beautiful journey. But it's a lot of cleansing. Like even gold has to go through fire in order for it to shine. So that's how it is,
So we have some more hands raised.
Oh.
AB, can please
Yeah,
talk.
Auntie, thank you so much for this wonderful reading and explanation. Can't be less grateful. I have a question because I missed today's session for the initial half an hour. You had mentioned that we should not test Guruji and we should not test. You mentioned something that we should not test the universe, or we should not test nature. Auntie, can you just give give an example, because I just want to rectify myself in case I'm doing so.
Good question. How we cannot test nature, as in, like, sometimes we say things like, first of all, words are very powerful. We must understand that our thoughts and words carry a lot of energy. Since
Right.
child, hearing ki sahi bolo, ki Saraswati sun rahi hoti hai, and it becomes our reality, right? All of us have heard this expression from our mothers, that,
True.
sahi bolo, acha bolo. And the thing is that when we test, like we say, oh, I can live without food, for the next 10 days. We'll just say it in conversation. We should not say that, because we're testing nature. So nature, make sure that, okay, you said that you can live without food for 10 days. Fine. I will create a situation now where that will test the pain. You understand?
Understood, Auntie. It's all clear. Thank you.
You're welcome. Who's
Yeah.
this? Oh,
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
yes, sorry.
Yes. Well, this is Nina, and I'm from Delhi, and I have really.
Nina, you can put the video on so I can just have a face to the name. It's always nice to see one speak.
Okay.
Don't worry if you can't manage. It's okay.
Can you see me?
Yes.
But today I'm looking so untidy anyway, sitting at home. Anyway, so I keep listening to your satsangs, Anita Aunty, and this is for the first time, I connected. I think this is the first episode today you have started with this book, Fakir.
No, this is the third day.
No, I've missed, because yesterday only I got connected.
People send you the recording.
I will send you the thing. Please
send
your phone number in the chat
All
box
right,
later.
I'll do that. And yes, so many questions have been answered. And, the day I have connected with Guruji, and I'm connecting to, Japji Saab and Sukhmani Saab every day. And yesterday also I was listening to a satsang on Shiv Puran reading that was from Dubai. And I don't remember that auntie's name, but so many questions were answered in that satsang also. So Guruji keep answering, so many questions, and I'm feeling so blessed. And of course, you said that Guruji cleanses us from inside, and yes, I can really feel it, and I feel so blessed. I feel so blissful. I mean, the whole day, every moment I feel so blessed. Previously I used to feel so many things, the thing used to hurt me, but now, it has come, very less.
Yeah.
because I try to rejoice everything. And yes, and this satsang also, today's satsang, it has really helped me a lot.
Well,
I'm
I'm glad.
feeling so blessed. I've really heard your satsangs a lot, and today I've seen you by face also. Uh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Jai Guruji, I'm Poonam Khanna.
Hi, Pune.
Jai Guruji, Anita Aunty. If you remember, we met in Pune, 2020.
Oh, wow.
In
Hi.
Feb, yeah, we were there together. So I have raised my hand today because of that experience which Guruji made me feel about an omen, which happened with my son. So
Okay.
in the dream, he showed me, it was so alive.
Yeah.
Like the whole experience was really, it was shaking me so much that I could feel myself heaving in my sleep. I could feel myself crying while I was dreaming and sleeping that there's this big fire, he's on it, and someone is lighting, and there is a circle of people standing, and I am standing there with my daughter-in-law standing. It was so very clear, that vision.
Yeah.
It was so strong. It was so strong that it shook me, that even in my sleep and dream, I could feel my chest heaving, that
Oh
I
my.
could feel the pain. And when I got up in the morning, I was so shaken that I said, what did I see? I mean, Guruji showed me exactly everything. And I did not know. I was mum for a couple of months. I never shared that dream with anyone. I was so scared at that time that I didn't know. I mean, what have I seen? Till once I spoke with Cookie Aunty. I needed someone to clarify to me, what I had seen, because it was so vivid, it was so clear. So then she says, well, you thank your stars, Guruji has been with you. He has shown you that if he had not been there, this is what you would have been witnessing.
Yes.
If he had not been there.
Yes.
So it was really, and then that calmed me down a bit, and in the last 2 years, it's been 2 years, that experience is still so vivid with me. I remember each and every bit of it, but at the same time, I keep thanking Guruji, because it was his blessing only.
Yeah.
And because he showed me that exactly what was to happen. And probably he forgave my karmas, or he tested, or I don't know, according to the book Fakir, probably he was testing me. Probably he made me, like he says, he makes you go through that same experience in an astral world. I think that experience of mine was so strong, because even in my sleep, I was heaving and crying. I could feel my chest moving. That he really made me experience that. And so I can relate with this now so much more, that actually it really happens. It is the truth. It is 100% the truth.
It is the truth.
It is the truth. Jai Guruji. Jai Guruji, Shukrana, mere Prabhu.
Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, and looking forward to another few chapters. So stay blessed, and Om Namah Shivaya, Shivji Sada Sai, Om Namah Shivaya, Guruji Sada Sai. God
Jai
everyone.
Guruji. Jai Guruji. Jai Guruji. Shukrana Guruji.
Shukrana, mere Prabhu.
Ananta Shukrana.
Shukrana Guruji.
Shukrana mere Malik. Shukrana.
Shukrana, Guruji.
Shukrana.
Guruji. Shukrana, Guruji. Shukrana.